What is going on, everybody? It's TheZachMichael here, and today I'm going to be showing you how I create perc loops from scratch. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Now, a lot of times the way I design a perc loop is actually around a melody. I do this both when I create my own kits, but also even when I just make my own perc loops that I use. I like to base them around a melody. So I have one of my loops here. I make 100 melodies every single week. I've done it for like 4+ years straight, and I give those out to producers. And this is one of them. So I just take like the first 8 bars, just use that. And then what I do is I heavily turn this down. So it's there, but it's not too crazy. The biggest reason I like to build stuff around a melody is it helps with figuring out rhythms that work. And another good thing that it does as well is help you kind of gauge like what frequencies a melody would fill up versus the perc loop. And lastly, another thing also is it helps me keep my perc loops from being too crazy and not usable, because it's very easy to have your drums be super overpowering, especially when you're creating like a perc loop. You can have a lot going on. There might not be room for an artist or room for just anything else. You know what I'm saying? And you want to leave room for that, at least when I'm creating stuff. So what I like doing a lot of times is going into my lo-fi kits to start, just because I have a lot of good sounds in there that like lend itself very nice to creating perc loops. So like we're just gonna grab this like little like claps noise, just kind of create a pattern for it, like that. I just kind of go through and just find different sounds that I like from my kits. Just kind of lay out like a pattern initially here. There's a bit more processing that happens, but before you do the processing, you gotta get the pattern that you like. Other thing I like doing is pitching sounds differently. So just because like a sound is initially at C, I might pitch it down a whole octave, or just pitch it to different sections. So now there's gonna be more that's added, but I have some ideas as I go along, so I'll just kind of add them. Like I know I want this sound to have some more reverb on it. I'll open up one of my favorite reverbs like that. Another thing I like to do, play with velocity. Let your velocities change on different sounds. You can randomize it or you can do it yourself. Just depends on what it is. And that sounds pretty good so far. But let's try to find like a couple other sounds. Could work. Put some reverb on that. Some of the lows. The reason I'm cutting some of the lows on that is because I want to leave room for if there's a synth bass or an 808, etc. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mute the loop and just kind of hear what I worked on. It's pretty solid. Got some room, of course, but that's exactly what I'm doing because this is just a perc loop. So there's going to be more stuff thrown on top of this. So now we're just going to process everything a little bit. So like I want to throw a bit of an EQ on here, just kind of shape that sound. Not do too much to it, to be honest. This sound, I want to throw some distortion on it. That sounds pretty good. Another thing you can do is pan stuff. I'm going to pan this slightly to the right, and this slightly to the left. My suggestion with panning a lot of times when it comes to perc loops, at least the stuff that I'm making, I'm not panning anything like hard right or hard left, so not 100% on either, but just a little bit to open up some of that like stereo shaping, etc. The next thing I like to do is go over to the master and apply some stuff to all of this. So something that you can try is you can add different delays, different reverbs, different distortions, etc. So I'm going to throw in fast distortion. Just put this on subtly. I like doing it just because it kind of blends everything a bit for me. I don't know, that's just kind of something that I've noticed. Another thing I like doing sometimes, adding like a chorus. Turning it down a little bit, just having that in the background does something. You can compress it if you want, etc. I think with this one, I don't really need to do much compression or any delays. Sometimes throw halftime on it. I like the way halftime sounds, but I only want to use it for a section of the loop. So what we're going to do is automate the halftime. And what we'll do is we will export this. So I go over here, click Alt R. So now I have this exported section. And then what I'll do is export again with Alt R. Now without the halftime. The reason I did it a little different here is I don't want the halftime to like any of the other effects to kind of bleed over, like any reverbs, etc. So I do it like that. And so now I have like a 2-section perc loop. So there's this section here. And there's this one. So now if you just drag in your melody, or you build a whole new melody around this, this is kind of what it sounds like. Gotta unmute stuff though. See? So just like that, you got kind of a really cool perc loop. So now what I would do is literally take this loop and either sell it in one of my kits, and obviously I do a bit more to those as well, and I incorporate a lot of other sounds, etc. Or, you know, I could drag this into another beat, make a whole new melody around it. Or another thing I like to do with perc loops, honestly, I make them and I save them for like the future. So like I might use this in a couple months. So like if I'm not inspired, I can go back to this. So it really just depends. But that's how I create a lot of my perc loops. So if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and check out TheZachMichael.net. I have tons of drum loop kits and a ton of other things on there as well. So feel free to check those out if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching. Head on over to ElizabethRecords.net if you'd like to support me. You can purchase VST expansion banks, drum kits, loop kits, and MIDI kits that'll level up your production there.